You can see my microphone bump, but that's okay.
So it goes.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Hi, I'm Peggy.
And I'm Amanda.
And you're watching the
Junction Fiber Mill Millcast.
Yeah. We're a small mill, but kind of small, medium-sized.
I feel like, we talked about it last time. We have some new fantastic people working here, so it feels like our mill is huge, but really we're quite small in the global scheme of things.
And we're in White River Junction, Vermont, halfway up the state on the eastern side. And
we make beautiful yarn.
Yeah, we're in our 5th year, which is pretty incredible.
That's beyond incredible, actually. That's crazy.
How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful.
Excellent.
You want to know why?
Sure.
You already know, but I have to tell everyone here.
She's got some great news.
I got the call that my daughter got in to public pre-K, which is huge in the state of Vermont. There are some kind of public, it's a little confusing. You get some benefits toward pre-K, so you don't have to continue to pay thousands of dollars a month for it. And it's at the public school that she's going to continue to go to. Which is great, because then she's going to kind of see where... Well, she won't be the new kid.
Right.
So she had like 2 friends from her, we call it school, it's daycare, it's kind of school, whatever. 2 friends from her school who she's been with forever that were both had a spot. Yeah. And sort of luck of the draw, we didn't get it initially, and we were so disappointed. And this was
then you got on the wait list.
Back in the wait list, but we were like 10th, for only like 30-some spots.
Town. Yeah.
And so I was like, it's not going to happen. And orientation was coming up this Wednesday in the past. And so I was just like a little sad. It was making me feel a little sad that like my friend's kid got in and mine didn't. And anyways, then we got the call, and I kid you not, I was on the phone. Thankfully, I had my AirPods on.
It was Christmas in May
I was jumping. I was like, I couldn't contain myself to the guy on the phone. I was like, ah, and he was like, I feel like I'm just telling someone they won the lottery. I was like, you are. So
you did.
So she got to go to we got to go to the orientation yesterday, saw the school, the program seems awesome. So I'm just like,
it's great.
The first of many things this isn't like I'm excited my kid got into the college they wanted, because this is a very directly like I will save so much money on childcare expenses for next year, not to have 2 kids in paid daycare, but...
Yeah, but it's also the socialization side. She's going to be with her buds, and it's all good.
And it's way closer to home. There's like a million great things about it. So I'm so pumped.
Congratulations.
Okay, moving on. What are you up to these days?
I've been doing some gardening. We finally have gotten some warm weather. Here's a picture of my garden. I know it looks totally pathetic, but it does when you just plant these little things in. But I did what my sister's a very good gardener. I am but I put in extra topsoil, and there's something called moo-doo, even though we have a ton of sheep.
I was going to ask, why add stuff when you have a big compost
pile? I'm following my sister's guidance, because her gardens always look fabulous and mine don't. And she said, "Look, the secret is moo-doo." I said, "I have sheep poo," and she goes, "Doesn't matter."
Millcast sponsored by moo-doo.
Yeah, and it's moo-doo made in Vermont, so whatever. Anyway, put lots of that in, put more topsoil, and then planted everything. And of course, first I had to weed it all. I got to next year cover the beds so I don't have weeds. I had to start by weeding the 4 beds. Anyway, everything's planted.
Does she cover? Is that?
You know what? I don't know what she does.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I
everything
also
is
had
planted.
to do some weeding. I did it. So last weekend the kids were away for the whole
weekend.
They did great. The travels were fine. Cody was exhausted when he came back, but good. Anyways, I spent my whole time pretty much weeding the garden, keeping the animals alive. And you know what? Without other things to pull you a million directions, those things being called children, I didn't mind the weeding for once. I had the space for it. It was lovely.
Good.
So I got everything like tip-top shape, and then they came home and we plopped the plants in. It was one of those situations where we went to the garden center after work, quickly got plants before the children melted down between dinner time. Yeah. Got like a pizza to go so that we didn't have to cook. And then Lewis fell asleep in the car, and I was like, wonderful. Get the plants in. It was one of those balances of like, Maeve, you're being so helpful, but please stop spraying us with the hose and stop digging up holes here where we don't want the plants.
Yeah, that was like Kiki. Stop chasing the hose and stop digging up what I planted. Yeah,
it was extreme.
That's a dog.
It was extreme, but the garden is looking cute. We have still like 2 empty beds, 2.5, so I think we'll get some melons or something. And something big we can plop in. But
I had 2 things I wanted to quickly share. One is that a couple days ago, we were still bringing the sheep up into the barn, off the grass and into the barn because the lambs are still small. and Todd just does clapping, and they come up. So I'm showing you the.
We call that grain training, folks.
Well, it was just First they think they're getting grain, but we're just clapping, and this is them leaving the field, and then they'll go around and go up into the barn, and it's just a sight. You don't see a lot of the lambs because they're so short. You're seeing all the moms, but there's lambs in there. And then the last picture I want to show you, there was just the other day the most gorgeous sunset, and we have some Adirondack chairs that happen to be lined up in a row because Todd had mowed the lawn, and this is a picture of those chairs with a little gold on them.
It's just like the nicest time of year.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder how we did it in winter, but I wonder that every year, it's like.
Yeah, I just, you just take these days and you just appreciate them so much. I just stand there staring at all the green and the blue skies, and
that's the way to do it.
It's just freaking gorgeous out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We live in a beautiful place.
Yeah, so, shall we get to the big news?
Yes.
Retirement.
I was like, I don't know what you're going to say.
I'm not retiring.
I'm
not retiring.
Break it to me on the Millcast.
Yeah,
folks.
no, but we're going to retire some colors.
Yeah, it's time,
And
folks.
it's your opportunity to grab them while we've got them.
We're going to retire Constellation.
So go ahead. That's Constellation.
Purple,
it's being retired.
Grays.
It may come out of retirement someday.
We need some space on our racks for some fresh colors.
Constellation, and the other is Birdsong.
And both of these are DK. Oh, I do love Birdsong. I kind of want to grab some of that. I mean, Constellation is great too, but
this is very summery looking too.
Yeah.
Yep. So we're retiring Birdsong and Constellation. We have lots of other blues, but if you're at all interested in them, But if you're all interested in them, grab them. Until we're out of it.
They're gone. They're gone.
When they're gone, they're gone.
They're not on the production schedule.
Yeah, they're not on the production schedule. Yeah.
So those will be available as always, but just know that this is the announcement that they're leaving soon.
Yeah.
And I also, while you're on the website, you will notice that I had fun with the yarn. I took them across the street to the park with my camera yesterday, and I photographed them in the grass.
I saw you with the basket loading up. I was going, what is she doing? Is she going? Yeah, she's shopping for she's got an awful lot of yarn. So you picked some summer colors.
I went through our inventory. I picked the colors that to me seemed the most summery. Peg can take a look and add or remove. Making tracks only. I grabbed making tracks. And I took him across the park to get some, because the sun was just absolutely beautiful. And took the nice camera, got some shots, and I put together a collection of our yarn that just spoke to me as summery. Nice. I know folks have asked, I think our website could use more pairings and stuff on it. Yeah. So this is a first stab at a summer collection. And then I went through every making tracks in that collection, and I made sure I took the skein and I matched it to our solids rack to see which ones would I pair with this.
With our roots. Right.
With our roots. So if you are wanting to do what many people love to do with this yarn and knit, like, for instance, a color work where you have a solid with the making tracks. Start with your making tracks, pick your solid, and
and if you're looking for inspiration, you've provided it.
Yes.
Excellent.
So check it on the website.
Yeah.
It's the summer collection.
Very good. Very good. Oh, we're just getting so real.
So pro.
So pro.
I do love, like, in my mind sometimes I'll be like doing something else like, this is how I'm being a professional running my business, and behind the scenes is just like 1 second.
Yeah.
We should have a summer collection.
Yeah, that's how I feel when I'm emptying the garbages, throughout the mill.
Here I am running my small business.
Yeah, finding all the garbage pails and making sure they're empty. Anyway.
Wonderful.
Boy, we got a great thing to tease.
Yes, I don't even have a label on this.
I am so excited about it. Yeah, it doesn't even have labels, but man.
It's beautiful. So this is coming out next week, and we wanted to let you know because it's one of those super limited edition yarns that we do from time to time. We love to do them. This is Ginny Prince's. We've had her featured on the Millcast before, a long time ago. I should link the episode. But Ginny Prince has a beautiful flock of North Country Cheviot sheep. So it's North Country Cheviot wool, undyed, and we blended it with some of our house-dyed silk. It's a Tussa silk, I believe. So it's
very
it's subtle.
Very, very subtle. This is also 3-ply.
Yes.
We usually do things in 2-ply. This is a 3-ply, the natural color of this North Country Cheviot with this just little hint of color in it.
And it's soft.
It's just
smooth,
spectacular.
And it's lustrous.
Yeah.
And I think what you're going to really enjoy working with this yarn is just seeing the subtle colors in there, they almost make it look iridescent to me. So we're calling it Smokey Quartz. It's in our Summit collection. And again, it's super limited edition. So we just want to let you know to set your alarms for 10 a.m. Eastern time on Tuesday, June 10th.
Yeah.
To make sure you can get some of this yarn.
Yeah, this is
We had to
yummy.
make the call. We were like, should we let staff get this yarn before we launch? We just don't have that much of it.
Well, it was a small flock, and some of the flock was white, and some of it was this charcoal, and we separated all the charcoal to get it as dark as we could. And man, it's
there's
just so
a little
yummy.
bit of, I'm seeing blue, I'm seeing a little pink. Is there maybe
There's
yellow?
that fuchsia, a little bit of yellow. Yep. Yeah, it's yummy.
It's so good. And I think with 3-ply, folks often ask like why 3-ply versus 2-ply. 3-ply takes longer to spin, and we do it because it makes the strand like a spaghetti noodle. It's like
it's round, very
in
round
shape. So it's great for texture work. And I think this is what you want to make your cabled sweater out of.
Yeah.
You want to do something that, you could just knit this all by itself.
Yeah, or if you were going to do a Gansey or, like I said, anything that has ridges and bumps.
Yeah. So anyways, we'll talk more about this next week. But
Smoky Quartz.
Look out for that soon.
Absolutely. I have a quick little story I want to tell you. From time to time, people who are, wanting to do a change of life or whatever and think, I think I might like to start a mill, we'll sometimes get a random email saying that. And in this case, we got an email from someone out in Utah. And, I emailed them back. They said they were interested in a mill. And I said, well, why don't we set up a Zoom and we'll, let me see if I can answer any questions. And it was a husband and wife living in the Cache Valley area of Utah. And he was the one really interested. He had gotten into knitting, and now they have some sheep. And he felt like, we really think we want to start a mill. And I said, it's too bad because there's a Facebook group of mill operators, but you have to be a member in order to.
You have to already have your mill.
You have to be you have to own a mill to be in the group.
Yeah.
But I said, well, I'll tell you what. If you'd like, I'll just post something and see what we get. And so some emails were coming in and of mills that were going on the market, some people thinking of retiring, and I was just sending them to him. And then I got a note from one that was actually a mill in Utah, and I was like, wow. And so I sent that along, and I get an early morning email from them, and they were like, oh my God, thank you for connecting us. This person is absolutely great. She is going to teach us all about her equipment, and she's got a great clientele, and I think we're off to the races. And I was like, I love that.
Mill matchmaker, Peggy Allen.
There's a part of their story I'm not sharing, but it felt just so wonderful, and I wish you guys all the best.
Yeah, that's just fantastic.
Yeah,
I love to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to go into the mill.
Yeah, we're going to go into the mill, and you're going to be a videographer.
Yes.
And we'll start at the scouring equipment, and I'll do a little bit of what we're going on with there, and then finish up the tour.
Sounds great. Okay, so we are going to do our tour of the mill, and the first stop, we're going to chat with Peg, who is doing some scouring at our new scouring machine. Okay, tell us all about it.
All right, this is the new scouring machine, and you'll notice all the instructions are in Chinese. Kind of a challenge. So here you are here, and then they translate, after please careful reading instruction booklet, carry on the operation. Okay then.
Yeah. So we now know what these mean more or less?
Yes,
okay.
Yeah. So here's the machine. You open it up, and there's a barrel on the inside with perforated holes. It opens up like this. You're gonna put the wool in here, and you fill it up as much as you can, then you close it, and what this will do is it'll rotate extremely slowly one way and then the other. Right now I have it kind of temporarily set up, so I've got a garden hose that I can run from the sink to here, and then the thing that I've improved is I've got a sump pump here, because to empty it is just this basic, very primitive, it all just falls out. And so I've got a sump pump back here, you can maybe see, and that again is a garden hose that goes back to the sink. I've done about 8 tests, and with the medium weight wool, it can do like 10 pounds, and it's absolutely perfect. What I'm testing now is the finer wool. Here's an example.
And you're talking about the individual strands. So when you say fine wool, it's this really, really thin strands that make such beautiful, soft yarn.
This is my Savage Hart Farm yarn, and it's the natural color of some of the sheep, but it's super fine, and the big challenge is how do you get the lanolin, and Corriedale has a ton of lanolin. How do you get it out without felting? And I did one test, felted it. Very frustrating.
So sad.
You don't want to felt your own wool. I slowed the machine way down, and I did 2 more tests, and no felting whatsoever, but it didn't get as clean as I want. So I've got to continue doing the test, and of course, we want to figure it all out on wool that we own and not on our custom processing customers. But anyway, that's the latest on the scouring machine.
All right, so on to the mill tour. So here we've got some dye pots. It looks like they are already in the midst of cooking some Lookout Ledge yarn. That's one of our beautiful colorways. It's featured in our summer collection. And you can see we've got some of our, handy dandy, what do you even call these things? They're like a ketchup jar that we use to mix our dyes and paint them on the fiber. And you can see sort of some splatter, some artistic splatter. Here we've got some roving being put out to dry. This is going to become a solid color. We're not actually going to make this orange of a color, but we have been aiming for something in the red family, and it turned out just a little bit too jewel toned, a little too blue. So we're going to experiment with adding in some orange in the pin drafter and seeing if in the mix that gets us a little closer to what we were aiming to do. Sophia putting it out. All right, Elise is getting the spinner ready to go.
Hello.
Hello. It looks like we're doing some making tracks. This is Leaves in the Brook. And here again, you can see how those 2 singles are just subtly different. So half of the machine has this mix that has green in it, and then the other half has this with a little bit of a brown in it. But the overwhelming color is this lovely goldenrod yellow. So the setup process takes quite a bit of doing. This machine probably won't be turned on for a little while yet, but maybe by the time we circle back. And then here is some of our roots, solids being plied. So this looks like our blueberry sport weight. There's a little bit of maybe undyed wear. And then we have some forest, all going into the plier. Oh, you know what? I misspoke. I think that's actually some making tracks. It might be Heyday. And we've got more queued up to go later. We're in the midst of labeling some Vermont Vice Light. It's one of our very best-selling colors, so we get a lot of it. Here's our lovely labeling station. See, nothing on the picker today. Looks like Emma is doing the carder. This is the Savage Hart Farm charcoal, which Peg was just showing you after it gets scoured and dried. It comes into the mill, and look, we've got a lot of Savage Hart Farm. This is the light gray roving. That's all just being stored right now. So Emma's gonna fill up a bucket full of wool and then carefully make sure it's the correct amount on the scale, doing about half-pound increments, exactly half-pound increments, to fill up half of this belt. So right now there's only about 3 inches available. Once this gets cleared to about this point, then they'll put the wool onto the belt and make sure it's all worked in nicely, there's no gaps, make sure there's no toenails or anything hidden in the wool, and then it'll make its way into the corner. And on the other side of the carder, you can see that web coming off. I think this is such a cool thing to watch. I mean, you can really, really see it in there. And we're just spraying a little bit of condensed air onto that fiber to get it to go through this direction, and then we send it through this little a very cohesive wool, which means it doesn't really want to break apart in this journey. This is a pretty strong strand. I mean, I wouldn't want to pull it, but just this journey from here to here, it's not at much risk of breaking, which was what we really like to work with. When you work with sort of the long wool breeds like Romney, Border, the Leicester, Blue Face and Border, wool like that doesn't have as much crimp can be a bit more challenging. Let's see if we can see it going into the can coiler. So since it's a dark wool, it's a gray wool next to gray metal, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a little piece swirling around here that's sort of depositing the wool into the can. All right, Logan's over here skein winding. We've got some roots and some making tracks today. It looks like we've got Day's End and Forest. So this is taking off exactly 200 yards. And then the machine will stop on its own, or Logan will stop it to swap in a new bobbin for ones that didn't have quite enough yarn on them. On the pin drafter right behind me, we've got some beautiful North Country Cheviot wool, naturally this sort of light heathery gray. And so those 6 strands, they've already been pin drafted once. I can tell by the look of it. You can kind of see the fibers are a bit more aligned than they are coming off the carder if you look really close. And that's what the pin drafter does. It aligns the fibers and it also blends them. So I can tell it hasn't been pin drafted twice because I still see a lot of variation in these stacks. But then they come through the pin drafter, and on the other side, it's a much, much thinner strand here. And this one job in particular is going to have to be pin drafted 3 times because I can tell we don't have quite the level of consistency that we like in the finished roving before it gets machine spun. And again, a can coiler where maybe this one you can see it better. I like to just watch as roving gets deposited onto the pile. There it is. There it is again. It's very satisfying. So round and round it goes, and it's going to fill up that whole can, and then it'll get stopped. All right. And here we are. Elise is still working on getting that yarn ready to spin. You'll notice on the bobbin there's a little bit of yarn already preloaded. We call that the leader. So I'm going to put her on the spot to show us how this is done.
Do you want me to explain it?
You're not Mike, so I'll talk.
Okay.
So this is the Traveler, the little piece of nylon or plastic that rides around on the spindle sort of freely. And then that helps it, helps deposit it onto the bobbin. And then it goes through this doohickey, little pigtail, and then she's just going to put it behind the front roller. That's this one. That is the point at which the roving is going to, once there's a twist going and once it's getting loaded onto the bobbin, this sort of bait bowl, the leader, is going to start to catch this roving that right now is going into the little vacuum system. This little roving will become mill blend, but whatever starts to go onto this strand is going to make it into the yarn. So once the machine is turned on, these guys are going to get pulled down, and then it's gonna spin. I'll come back. Okay. I'll come back and see it when it's going. Okay. All right. So, yes, we'll cut to that machine actually starting. All right. I didn't even show you guys what's going on in the sinks. So it looks like Peg is cleaning up from some dye stuff.
Yeah, I need to get access to the sink.
Sink,
so I'm doing a little cleaning.
Okay. And then we've got some wool scouring. So you can tell, I don't know if you can see, there's actually steam coming up from that right now because it's so hot. You would not want to stick your hands in there. Caution, very hot water. And then it looks like we've got some carnival yarn that's been rinsed and just needs to go through into the washing machine to get dried. And there it is, some dried out carnival, some spun out, still has some drying to do in the machine.
My M&M's in my pocket. Okay, you ready?
Hold on, let me make sure. Yeah, I think we're recording. All right, don't want to miss this. We're good. All right, so now it's ready. You can see they've all been, what do I call this? Being laced up. They're laced up, they're ready to go. 12 of them. And now, the moment, press the green button. Oh my gosh, it's a very exciting moment. So, okay, you can see here, one of our guys didn't make it. So what is Elise gonna do? She's got skills, so she's gonna figure it out. So while the rest of them are moving, she's got her foot on the brake. And now she's simply, with much talent, going to get this connected with me in her way. You can see that bait yarn headed through, grabbing all the roving as it goes. A little bit of a slub there at the start because it has to get wrapped around that other one, so we won't put that into the final yarn. Now, despite the fact that it's wiggling like a worm, it's good to go. It's wiggling like a worm because of the spin fingers. That's those bits. They actually help decrease significantly the tension we need to put on the yarn. And I'm not really sure how it works, but you can see I can pluck this like a loose guitar string and it doesn't break. So that's nice. Our old spinner had a ton of tension on it, which led to a lot of breaks. And now, we've got some happy yarn being loaded onto the bobbins. And now the job is just monitoring this to make sure none of those break. Occasionally, these will break mid-spin for various reasons. And then you just have to do what Elise showed us before, which is hit the foot brake. Oh, and we got one more example. At the start and at the end is when the most tension is put on the yarn, so that's sort of when you're most likely to see a break. We like it when it happens at the start or the end though, because it's really easy to make sure that it doesn't end up in the finished yarn as a slub. That little move there is sort of like one of the biggest cruxes of training in my opinion. These brushes prevent the roving from being wrapped around the rollers, and for some reason they don't get sucked in by the vacuum in the case of a break. All right, thank you very much.
Did you see me try to hide my handful of M&Ms?
Yeah, I did see you try to hide your handful of M&Ms. We're an M&Ms based mill here, powered mill. And I'll give you one more look at Peg.
So I've got 5 pounds of the wool that I had shown you.
Nice, that's beautiful wool.
Yeah, it's going to be gorgeous. And I've got my detergent in there. Here's my garden hose set up, bringing this super hot water over.
Super professional looking.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We might as well do it this way to make sure it really works before we spend a fortune on a plumber.
Yep.
But you can see this. Can you see the steam coming up?
Yeah,
and
it's
that
hot
is
as heck.
hot water.
Good luck.
Yeah, thanks. Test number 1825. Well, that was great.
Yeah.
We got an open house coming up.
Yes. The next open house is June 21st. That's a Saturday from 10 to 1 at the mill, and we will have our small skeins and seconds available. People tend to like that at the open houses, and we'll be doing tours. That's really the best time to come and shop and see how to turn fleece into yarn at the open house. So
we hope to see you there.
We hope to see you there. And then we'll probably next time have an update for you on open house dates for the rest of the summer.
Yeah.
All right. So
Sounds
stay
good.
tuned. Thanks
All
for
right.
tuning in.
Bye-bye.
Bye.